Welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast. My name is Gavin Williams alongside
Charlie Caleri.
And today marks opening day of the NBA starting again.
And I'm so excited, Gavin.
I am so excited for this season. You know what? I'm going to say this right now. The Packers had a good season. Not a great season, but it's like growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're moving on to my team that should have zero growing pains.
Boston Celtics.
The Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Huge year for us. And if you guys can't tell, I'm ecstatic because I am ready. We're coming for blood this year.
It should be a really good season. A lot of moving parts this offseason, as usual,
A
in the
great
NBA.
free agency year.
Yeah,
And trading year.
It was a great offseason for the NBA. I'm excited to get back into it. It's always a great time of year when the NBA comes around because, you got MLB playoffs right now. You got NHL starting up, NBA starting, obviously, NFL right in the middle of it. College football right in the middle of it.
My favorite is when all four major league sports play at the same day.
And guess what? That's tonight. Not tonight. Sorry. Not tonight. We're recording this on Tuesday. This episode will probably be out on Wednesday. So after those first two games tonight on Tuesday. But that sports equinox is coming up probably Thursday, right?
I love it.
Probably Thursday.
Yeah.
If I had to guess. No, because the World Series starts on Friday. So this weekend we will be seeing the sports equinox. Look out for that.
You'll
probably see it. It's probably going to be Sunday or Saturday.
As some may say, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Let's go, guys.
Let's get into it. So we're going to be looking at ESPN's preview article for the season. We're just going to talk about each team, how they have them ranked from 30 to 1.
Not our rankings.
Not our
ESPN's
rankings. ESPN's rankings, because we're going to start off right now with the 30th ranked team, who they have as the Washington Wizards.
I think that's disrespectful.
I think so too. I'm not saying they're a great team, but at the same time, you bring in Jordan Poole. Kyle Kuzma's building off of last year. Obviously, you lose your best player in Bradley Beal.
And that sucks.
That's a tough loss, but I don't think they got that much worse.
I mean, Bradley Beal, he was also injured for a lot, and a little update. I don't think he's playing tonight as of Tuesday, because it said he was. I saw a report that said he wasn't going to be able to play tonight. But the Wizards, they've also played a lot of games without Bradley Beal in the existence of him being there. I think they might be a little used to it by now. But I don't see them being the worst team in the NBA. Their line for wins is 24.5. Charles, what do you think about that line?
I'm thinking over.
I'm not thinking like crazy over.
I'm thinking they get to 30 wins, though.
Yeah.
If they go 30-52, it's still a terrible record. They're going to be probably a bottom 5 team in the league this year.
They're going for a lottery pick
but
this year.
I don't think they're the worst team in the league.
I don't think so either.
We'll get to who we both actually probably agree on who the worst team in the league is, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, it's the Milwaukee Bucks. I meant sorry. Anyways.
That's so funny.
Yeah. I think the Wizards will be way better than just 24 wins. Not way better, sorry. I think they'll be better than 24 wins.
They should be.
But I think big free agency signing was Jordan Poole.
Yeah,
big trade.
That was big for
Jordan
them.
Poole.
Yeah, getting that younger guard. Because now they have a young guard for the future. So if they can build around Jordan Poole, maybe get a big man to complement him. Kuzma could be that really good third option for them. They could have something going in Washington. But till then, they're apparently ranked as the 30th team in the league.
And as the 29th team is the Charlotte Hornets, a team that had a disappointing year last year. Most people were so excited for LaMelo Ball to come back, show what he has to offer, got hurt. So this is kind of like a bounce-back year for the Charlotte Hornets, and Hornets fans should have something to look forward to a little bit. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs because, quite frankly, I don't think they will make the playoffs with the East only getting better now. But, their line is 30.5. I think that's a fair line.
I think it is too. Kind of like what you were mentioning. I think they could definitely be in play for that play-in.
I think maybe
the 9 or 10 game, but bringing in Brandon Miller.
That was awesome.
That's big.
Great pick for them too.
You got to hope that LaMelo can be healthy this year. I want to see a full season of LaMelo being healthy because obviously injuries are terrible, but he's a fun player to watch. And obviously they had some issues with they waived Kai Jones earlier this offseason. They had a bunch of issues with him. They had the whole thing with the ownership group with Michael Jordan. But
he left.
New ownership now. So let's see if that changes anything for the Hornets like it did with with Washington.
Yeah, weird question.
The Commanders.
Weird question about the Charlotte Hornets. Now with Michael Jordan being gone, do you think they still have the stamp on there?
I don't know, actually, because that's something that was pretty unique to them. They're the only team that has the Jordan logo instead of the Nike logo on all of their jerseys. And it's, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean,
but with them still being in North Carolina and Jordan still being, I think he's still a part of the organization in some way, but he's obviously not an owner.
Of his ownerships. Yeah. All NBA teams, if I'm not wrong, wear a Jordan logo on their statement jerseys.
That is true, yes. On their alternate jerseys, they wear the Jordan logo, but on their normal icon and association, they'll wear the Nike logo.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just a little question to ask if you really care about jerseys as much as we do. But Charlotte Hornets ranked at 29. Don't really know how I feel about them quite yet. I don't think
they could make a
bad.
jump this year.
They could.
But
I also wouldn't be surprised if they did end up at 29th.
Or 30th. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next team, ranked at 28 for ESPN, was the Portland Trail Blazers, getting rid of Damian Lillard this offseason, which was huge. And huge for their future.
I mean, having this team at 28, I think, is absurd.
I do too.
They're not the 28th team in the league. I don't think it's fair to say that a team
like the Pistons are better than them.
Yeah, I don't think it's really fair to Portland. I know I know they lost their best player in their franchise history this offseason, but I don't think it's fair to that franchise. I don't think it's fair to the fans in general to have this team ranked at 28th with still a decent young core and decent players still, too.
Let's talk about some guys that they brought in. I mean, they brought in DeAndre Ayton, great center.
Yep.
He's a great team guy when he wants to be there. My guy, this one hurts to say, but Robert Williams. What a great guy. I met him outside TD Garden, Boston, guys. Autographed, got a little hug from him. Met him in his car. It was a really cool. He was a cool guy.
Good guy.
Good guy for the community.
Yeah.
He'll be good for Portland. Even if he comes off the bench like he did for the C's, he's still going to do his role. Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, Scoot Henderson.
Great pick.
Malcolm Brogdon, too.
They have some
some guys. I mean, along with Anthony Simons, who's still there, and then Shaden Sharp, who's still there, obviously.
Jeremy Grant.
I mean, they have a decent team. I'm not saying this
they might be the 10.
I'm not saying this is a crazy, playoff team, especially in that tough Western Conference, but, I mean, they could definitely be a playing team. Yeah. I'm not even saying the 10 seed. I think they could be around the 9 or 8.
Yeah.
But with that being said, there's a lot. The West is very crowded, and I'm sure
it's very tough to beat.
Yeah, I'm sure when we go through this article and look at all the other teams, they'll say, yeah, this team could definitely be in the play-in. But I think the Trailblazers legitimately have a shot if they can get hot.
Yeah, if they keep Brogdon, if they keep these pieces that they brought in, they might have a shot. They're still going to be a bottom team in the West.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for them is going to be the team chemistry right off the start, is because they brought in so many new guys and they have so many young guys that were already on the team. I don't know how they're really going to gel right away, but if they can get past that pretty quick, kind of like, I don't want to say like how the Jazz did last year. Like the Jazz started off, they were a top 2 team in the
All-Star break, right?
Yeah, around the All-Star break. They were
top 4 team.
They were top 4 team in the West around the All-Star break, and then they tapered off to around the 12-13 in the second half. But I'm not saying the Trailblazers could do that kind of jump, but maybe they could be hovering around that 6, 7, 8 for the first half of the year, and then maybe taper off a little bit. But who knows?
As last little thought about the Trailblazers, I mean, they're thinking like the Thunder right now. They are bringing in all these first and second round picks. They're really thinking about their future, especially with getting rid of Dame. They're not in playoff hopes this year.
No, not at all. It's the first time in a while.
Yeah, they're in future mode. It's weird to say that the Trailblazers are, but kind of cool at the same time. It's a new era of the NBA.
It is. It's really cool actually because the Trailblazers, we've known them with Dame. My whole life watching the Blazers, I've only known them with Dame on the team. So
absolutely,
it's gonna be really weird seeing them. It's gonna just feel like Dame's hurt for a game, sitting on the bench, but they're never gonna pan to him. Never gonna pan to him on the bench in his suit. It's just gonna be Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, DeAndre Ayton out there getting buckets, trying to win games. Probably not winning that many, but
Zero will be in the rafters one day.
Yes, for sure, should be. If not, then it's going to happen. I'm not even going to say it's not going to happen. Yeah. Number 27, ESPN ranks the Detroit Pistons right there. So what do you think about that one, Gavin?
Yeah, I mean, 27, 28, 29, or 30, I think that's where the Pistons
It's the right spot,
Obviously, Cade Cunningham he had a pretty decent season last year.
He did. I think he's gonna be probably in the running for most improved this year.
I think he will too.
Number one pick, obviously. Former number one pick, obviously. He hasn't been really healthy. So this is a year for him, kind of like LaMelo, where we're going to try to see Cade, and I hope we see Cade take that next step.
Yeah, and they brought in a great coach to take over a young team. They moved Dwayne Casey, former coach of the year, who got fired in the same year.
From the Raptors, yeah.
They moved him up to the front office, and they brought in Monty Williams.
I mean, what a move.
The Suns coach.
What a move. I mean, keeping Dwayne Casey in the organization is great because he's a great basketball mind. He always has been, especially when he was with the Raptors. But bringing in Monty Williams, I mean, he's one of the best coaches in the league, and you're bringing him in on this young team. I mean, what's that going to do for this team?
Yeah, and especially having Jaden Ivey. If you're a Detroit fan, you know you're not doing anything this season, but it's one of those seasons where it might just be exciting because you don't know how anybody's going to play yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll mention this a lot this season, but I am a massive, massive, massive fan of Jaden Ivey. I was a big fan of him straight from when he was at Purdue. Yes, I'm a Michigan fan, but watching him at Purdue was one of the most electric things ever.
Kind of like a Carson Edwards.
Yeah, exactly. Another Purdue guy. Shout out to him.
Love Carson Edwards.
But I'm hoping that Jaden Ivey has a little bit more success in the NBA than Carson Edwards did.
Yeah, I did too. Moving on.
But I'm excited for Jaden Ivey this season.
Yeah, I am too. Moving on to my Western Conference team, at 26 is the Houston Rockets.
Now, is this breaking news?
No, I mean I've said this. Ian knows this. Ian Kennedy, lifelong
Colts
Rockets fan and Colts fan, and Red Sox and Toronto Maple Leafs, the most diverse fan you can meet. Rockets fan though, they signed a great coach this offseason, Ime Udoka.
They did.
And I love Ime. He brought us to the finals. I have a special place. And that's what switched me to be a Western Conference Rockets fan.
Yeah, and it makes sense that would be your Western Conference team. They had a very, very good offseason.
They had an amazing offseason.
One of the better offseasons in the league. Bringing in Fred VanVleet, 3 years, $128.5 million. And Dylan Brooks, 4 years at $86 million.
And he's still looking good. This is going to sound stupid, but he looked great this summer when he played for the FIBA World Cup champion.
Team Canada.
I mean, he was the best plus-minus player on the whole team.
I did not know that.
I saw it today.
Stat. Yeah. Mostly because probably his defensive ability.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of the guys in that Canada team, like SGA, Jamal Murray, they're not defensive-minded people. So
RJ Barrett.
That makes sense when
Celtics
Dylan Brooks.
legend Kelly Olynyk.
But that's a great stat to know right there.
Yeah.
They also selected Amon Thompson.
Yeah, Amon's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be really good. His brother,
both the brothers.
Yeah, we need to mention. Yeah,
Sir,
yeah, he's gonna be great too. They still have Jalen Green, they still have Jamari Smith, they still Sengun,
Kevin Porter Jr.
You have all these guys. I mean, they have a really good young team.
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're gonna be good, but I think they're definitely gonna be a fun team to watch.
Yes,
they're gonna be a fun team.
They're gonna be the team that's like, why did we just lose to the Rockets?
Yeah, but then you'll be like, well, I guess Fred VanVleet just put up 45 on us. I guess maybe that's why.
Or Ime Udoka just coached us out.
Yeah, true.
Let's go, Ime. I'm glad he landed another job. Excited for that team. But for a team that I don't know why is 25th, but it's because ESPN, the NBA, everybody just loves They love Victor Wembanyama, and I understand it. I do too.
I think he's going to be a really good NBA player, but to say this guy is the next Messiah is just insane. I mean, ESPN has him ranked as the 47th best player
and that's
in the NBA.
That's unbelievable. That's above Derek White, who isn't even in the top 100. Is that crazy to say?
It's just disrespectful in general to – I mean, I'm looking at, these previous teams that we've had. Fred VanVleet's at 56. They're saying he's a better player than Fred VanVleet.
And he hasn't even played a game yet.
He hasn't even played a game yet. I mean, that's just insane.
Really
I'm not saying he's not going to be better than him, but
it just frustrates me when they already put him above.
It is very frustrating, but it's a new look for the Spurs too.
Yeah.
They've been going through a lot these last few years. Pop's staying with it. He's a trooper over there.
I love that guy.
I mean, he kind of brought this team, this franchise, to what they were, and now he's got to deal with what they are now. So, bringing in Victor Wembanyama is going to be massive for them, but ESPN has them projected around 27-55 with their win total line being at 29.5. So
it's a fair line.
It's a fair line. I personally don't think they really did anything.
They extended
Zach Collins. Yeah, they extended
and another player too. I can't remember his name right now, but they extended two players.
Yeah, I just don't think they got better, really. I mean, I know they brought in Wemby. They obviously got a little bit better, but
Yeah, I mean,
compared to
obviously
the
you're gonna
other
be better.
teams that were around their tier, like the Rockets, like the Pistons, like the Hornets, like the Blazers, all the teams that we mentioned, even the Wizards, they've all gotten a lot better this offseason. They all either got a lot of picks or brought in new players to revitalize the franchise. This team just brought in one guy and thought that it would kind of change the world.
Yeah, and they extended Devin Vassell.
Devin Vassell, yeah, he's a good young player too, good guard for them. But personally, I believe that the Spurs are the worst team in the league. But
I mean, it all just depends what Wemby can actually do, because
that is true.
In the summer league looked horrible, preseason looked good. So which Wemby are we gonna get?
I think we'll get more of the preseason Wemby, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to win Rookie of the Year, because I don't
think he is either.
I think the hype around him, I don't think he can live up to that hype. I mean, everybody's saying he's going to be better than LeBron, when he was a rookie. So I don't think many people can do that or even fathom doing that. And I definitely don't think it's this random guy from France.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree on that one as well. Moving on to the next team, who's ranked at 24th.
Yes, the Toronto Raptors.
Toronto Raptors. This team lost some key pieces in Freddie VanVleet. They have FIBA World Cup MVP on their team now.
Yeah.
My guy, Dennis Schrader. I love Dennis Schrader.
He's great.
They still have Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. So they still have some guys who can still play. And, I mean, I feel like the Rockets did more this offseason, but they're still ranked lower. I don't know. I don't know what the Raptors' hopes are this season. I mean, their win line's 37.5. I think that's an under.
Yeah, I think it's an under 2, but I think they finish around 35, 36.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's crazy
I don't
under.
think it's crazy.
They also brought in Grady Dick from Kansas.
Everybody loves
that. That was
man.
big. He's so funny. I've seen. Do you
man.
see the Raptors? Their Halloween party. Scooby-Doo was Grady Dick, and then Frozone from Incredibles was Scotty Barnes. So they got a lot. They got some.
Scotty Barnes.
They have some team chemistry there. I mean, they got a young core, a fun core too. I think, but I think it's gonna be a rough season for Raptors fans to watch. I think they're gonna be they're gonna be slotted in as like the 12th seed this year. It's kind of just set in stone. They can't really move. They're kind of like they're not next, but I was hoping they'd be next. Another team that'll be coming up here. I think they're pretty similar to like the Pacers.
Yeah.
In that tier. So I think they'll finish around that 11, 12 seed, maybe sneak into that playoff or play-in game, but who knows? It should be a fun season for the Raptors, but pretty disappointing as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Moving on to the Utah Jazz at 23.
They got a nice little team.
They do.
They have a nice little team.
I don't think they're 23.
No, I don't think they are either. I think they're better than 23.
Yeah.
I think they're probably around maybe 18. Yeah.
We'll agree on 18.
Yeah, I think 18.
They still
Larry
have
Markkinen coming back.
All-Star year.
Coming back from an off-season at war in boot camp in Finland. So
that was awesome.
Shout out to Larry.
That's respect to his
doing his service
country.
over there. Yeah,
that was really cool.
Yeah, it actually
that's
was.
A lot of respect.
Yeah, because I mean, you don't. Obviously, guys in America, we're fortunate we don't have to do stuff like that. But him doing his service over there in Finland, he said he met a lot of those guys in boot camp are now some of his best friends. So that's pretty cool. Now he's back in Utah with his teammates Walker Kessler, Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, Colin Sexton.
Is a big big signing for them.
They have a good
I
little.
love Colin Sexton too.
That's a good little starting five right there they got, and I'm assuming Clarkson will come off the bench again.
Yeah.
He's perfect in that role.
He loves that role too.
Yeah, I mean they had the 3 first-round picks they had this year was Taylor Hendricks, Kante George, and Bryce Sensabaugh. So they brought in 3 young guys there, trying to just get kind of a youth movement here in Utah. They did a really good job from being the 1 seed 3 years ago to now kind of revitalizing the whole franchise, rebranding everything literally with their jerseys too.
Not a fan
their
of
identity.
them,
Not a fan of them, but I'm a fan of their young core.
And I'm a fan of their classic jerseys too. Bringing back
those purple ones are great.
Bringing back the Stockton era.
And the Stockton era a little bit before.
It was cool.
Early Stockton, yeah.
Really liked what they brought
those.
out in the jerseys. But moving on to 22 is the Chicago Bulls, who they have some pieces. Obviously, they still have Nikola Vucevic. They still have DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. I mean, nobody really knows what's going to go on with Lonzo Ball yet. Actually, they already ruled him out for the entire season, which is sad. I really hope he can get back. But The Chicago Bulls team was the 8th seed a couple of years ago, and they put up a little fight. I think they're the 8th seed again this year, and they didn't put up a fight.
No, not at all.
The Chicago Bulls team, man, I mean, with all these pieces, you think they should be a little bit better, but I think this is proper ranking. They haven't shown anything, really.
No, I mean, they don't look like they want to really improve. They just keep thinking they can just run it back with the same team every year and expect to get better. And, when your franchise point guard goes down, you can't just sit back and not do anything about it. So, I mean, where is this team gonna turn to?
I mean, I know who they can turn to.
Who?
DeMar DeRozan's daughter. Because didn't they string out
a
win?
They did. They won that first playing game, and then remember, they came down to the wire against Miami Heat, and they were winning in that game, and they could have prevented that whole playoff run from the Miami Heat.
The Celtics could have won the finals.
Who were they eventually 8 seed? So the Raptors were the 9 seed last year.
Yeah.
So they were right around that.
So
that
you know what?
range.
If DeMar DeRozan's daughter could have screamed a little bit louder, maybe the Celtics would be champions or be runners up. But I guess we'll never know.
And guess what? They wouldn't be ranked below the Orlando Magic.
Yeah.
If they won that game, probably.
21.
The Magic are at 21
Can you
here.
do something for me?
That's probably a pretty good ranking for the Magic. I think they're going to have a really good season. I think
they
they're
are
going to
too.
make the playoffs, like the actual playoffs.
Really?
I think
Like
so.
The 8th seed?
I think so.
7th
I
seed,
think this is
maybe?
going to be a team that we're going to see with
Cole
that.
Anthony just got extended too.
They have Paulo still, obviously. They have Franz Wagner. He's looking really good.
He
Cole
is.
Anthony's a guy. Jalen Suggs is a guy.
That
the only
team's
Wendell Carter's there. The only problem I think they have is they're a little bit thin forward and center. And obviously depth. They're just young. But Wendell really is their only decent big man.
Yeah. And speaking about Paulo.
Besides Paulo. I mean,
last
obviously
year's,
besides Paulo.
Yeah, last year's. So the former number 1 pick. I saw Paulo play live in Syracuse when Duke played Syracuse.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. That
Pretty
guy,
cool.
he's a baller.
Yeah, he is.
And obviously that's just college. But I mean, even last year he had a pretty decent season. But I think this Magic team's going to turn some heads this year.
I think so, too. I think they're going to be really shocking. I think this is probably my most underrated team of the season, my dark horse.
I like that.
I don't know. Something about this Magic team is really...
Something about those jerseys, too. They brought back the Shaq-looking jerseys.
Yeah, I think
so cool.
I don't know. Something about this Magic team is making me feel some sort of way. I don't know. They might be trending towards one of my favorite East teams. I don't know. I might jump on the train early.
Wow.
Might jump on the train early. I don't know.
Moving on to a team that I think will actually finish worse than the Magic, the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, they lost their big 3. Obviously, they were without James Harden all of last year. But they lost Kevin Durant and Kyrie, which was a big blow to the Nets fans. Shout out Andrew Durr. You were sticking with them since day one, and you're still sticking with them when they might not be great. But I still kind of like this team because I really like Mikal Bridges, Ben Simmons. I don't like him.
Cam
at
Johnson.
all. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have some young guys where they could possibly build around some of these guys. And I don't know. I mean,
They're just mid.
Yeah, I mean,
just
they're going to be a
mid.
mid team. They're going to surprise some teams. They're going to lose to some bad teams.
They're going to have some really good moments this season, but you're not going to really remember the 2023 Brooklyn Nets. And
unless you're Andrew Durr.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just move on from them. Now moving on to 19. This is the team I was actually talking about was the Indiana Pacers. I think they're going to be pretty decent this year too. Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, Buddy Hield. I don't know if you saw
All-Star Tyrese Halliburton.
Yes.
Too.
Did you see the other day they had an open practice for the fans, and the reserves beat the starters.
That's awesome.
Led by Buddy Hield.
I love Buddy Hield. I love that. That's awesome.
And then the starters ran sprints after the game on the court, and Buddy was yelling at all. It was great. Find the clip if you can find it. They're projected around 38 wins, which I feel like is a pretty good mark. That'll probably be enough to get 38 wins in the East is probably enough to get you to the 10 seed.
Yeah.
So if they can get there, I feel like that's a pretty good season for them. And next year, I think, is the year where if they really got to do something this year to really build and get to that point next year where they can be competing in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, absolutely. Not much more I have for the Pacers, so we're going to move on to their projected.
A lot of East teams right now. A lot of big stretch of East teams. We got the Hawks here at 18.
They lost John Collins in this offseason, which
but they brought in Patty Mills.
But it was a good move because John Collins he wasn't used enough in Atlanta. I felt bad for John Collins. He's a good player, didn't get used enough. But some guys that they actually I think will play, Sadiq Bey, I think is a very slept-on player in this league.
Great shooter.
Great shooter. Always balls out against the Celtics for some whatever reason. But Patty Mills, obviously. Wesley Matthews, that's a name.
It is a name. Wesley Matthews has been around the league a little bit. I didn't know he was in Atlanta until right now.
I
actually.
didn't either. So have a
very
day,
interesting.
Wesley Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, bringing in Patty Mills actually, I think, is a very good move because
that's veteran leadership.
Leadership to maybe guide Trae Young in the right direction. Maybe get him. I don't want to say his career fell off track, but maybe get him back to that superstar level that
I really
could
hope
be.
not because I hate. That
I know
man.
you hate Trae Young, but
I hate that man.
He's a good player when he's on. You got it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw it in the series that we had with him last year. I mean,
yeah, I know.
When he's hot, he's not missing the half-court shot that he missed against us. So
no, not at all. And they'll probably finish 8-9 seed.
500. I see them 500 team, maybe a little bit better. Maybe
I think they're gonna be a little bit worse.
A little worse.
I really do. I mean, unless Trae Young takes that big step, if he doesn't, then they're gonna be bad. If he does, they're gonna be good.
Yeah.
The whole team, I think, depends on Trae Young.
I mean, they haven't had a year like they had against when they beat the Knicks and they went to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks. I mean, they haven't had a year like that since the day they lost against the Bucks.
Yeah, no, I think the further and further away we're getting from that, I think we're saying it's a fluke.
Yeah.
Which I hate saying that word in sports because I don't really think flukes exist in sports because it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't make good playoff runs in the years following, it's probably a fluke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, completely agree. So moving on to what they have as a 17th seed. So now we're going to build onto some better teams in the NBA now.
We're getting a lot of the Western Conference teams now. This is where it gets really kind of
bunched up.
Yeah, bunched up and big jump here from the Hawks to the Mavs.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Mavericks obviously have Kyrie Irving, and he's staying in Dallas. That's great. They brought in my boy Grant Williams. I love Grant. Hope he has a great career out in Dallas. We used him. And have a good rest of your career, Grant. It was nice having you in Boston. It was good for the community.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good addition to this Mavericks team because I think he brings something that they haven't had, which is grit.
The dog.
It's grit, yeah.
No other guy is going to stand in Jimmy Butler's face except for Grant Williams.
Yeah, like Maxi Kleber is not doing that.
I don't know. This team's not going to look – I don't think they're looking great. I don't think they're looking horrible, though.
I think it all depends on how Luka and Kyrie can work together.
If they can gel, they'll be a good team. If they can't,
yeah, and it's really tough because I don't think they're going to work out. They're too
selfish.
They're both ball dominant guards that don't play good defense. So unless Luka is going to take that step up and play better defense this year, which it looks like he's been in the gym, so he's been getting in more shape.
It's about time, Luka. It's about time.
It's about time because I've been waiting for this Luka MVP season. It just hasn't come yet. So
and I hope it stays away forever.
I think it might come this year though.
I really hope it
doesn't.
Never know. I really hope it doesn't. I mean, 2K loves Luka when it comes to the MVP sense.
2K does love Luka. I'm a big Luka guy though.
I am the
even though he's hit some really big shots against the Clippers.
Bang.
Yeah, over Reggie Jackson by the way.
Bang.
Yeah, over Reggie Jackson.
Who actually left?
Who won the series? Who won the series though? Who lost the next series though?
All right, we're gonna move on to the number 16 team in the New Orleans Pelicans in this ESPN ranking.
Sneaky team.
I mean, they obviously still have Zion, C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram. I mean,
I'm serious. I'm being dead serious right now, and you're gonna call me crazy. This could be the new Kings this year.
I could definitely see that though.
This team, if they stay healthy,
especially Zion.
I mean, you're telling me that Brandon Ingram and Zion can't carry this team to the second round? If they all stay healthy,
yeah,
there's a chance. I'm not saying they will. Because I know the West is loaded.
There's a
chance. They have one of my favorite young players in the league, Herb Jones, on the team. He's a great wing defender. If you know Herb Jones, you know basketball.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Still C.J. McCollum. He's a great player. And they still have Valanciunas down the middle. So, I mean, they got a really good center. They have a big team. Big team.
The height on that team is big.
Yeah. And then you got the dog like Jose Alvarado, who's not a big guy, but he's got the biggest heart probably in the whole NBA.
I love that guy.
Yeah. So, I mean, they added two new coach for them. James Borrego is joining the staff. So he was the old Hornets coach. He brings some experience to the staff. Maybe that'll give them a little bit. But they didn't make too many moves in this offseason. They were just kind of hoping that Zion would get more healthy.
And in the gym to lose a couple pounds.
Yeah, because he needs it. He's one of three players in the NBA this year that are over 300 pounds. It was him, Boban, and who was the other guy?
300?
300 pounds.
Wow.
I think it was Boban, Zion, and I can't remember the other guy, but he's one of three.
Wow.
So that's a little stat right there. Sliding in at number 15 here.
Getting into some of the playoff teams.
Minnesota Timberwolves right now.
I love this team except for one player, Rudy Gobert. Never liked him, never will like him. But Ant and Karl Anthony Towns, I love those two guys together. They're awesome.
Great duo.
Great
duo.
I love that. I just love this team. I love the Timberwolves. Shout out Jake Dope.
He's a Timberwolves fan?
He sure is.
Wow. Shout out to Dope. That's interesting right there. They still have Mike Conley, too. Don't forget about him. He's still ageless point guard, I'll keep calling him. Because, I mean, he's a pretty older player, and he's just still producing at a high level. I do think Rudy Gobert, I know you hate the guy, but I hate him too. But he complements the team very well. They just didn't use him as well last year as they should have. But if they can work out,
threat right there.
If they can work out how to work him and Cat together, this offense could be really scary.
Yes, absolutely.
And the whole team just in general.
The lobs can be crazy this year.
Yes.
I think this is Anthony Edwards. This is his step. This is his year where he's gonna make that huge jump. This is going to be an Anthony Edwards year. I'm saying it right now. And I don't have the greatest take sometimes, but I think this one will be a great take.
Definitely.
Moving on to, here we go, some better teams.
It's a little high for them.
A little high. I think this is a 16 team.
OKC Thunder right here we're talking about.
I really like SGA. Chet is healthy. They have former EuroLeague MVP.
Wow, I don't know how to pronounce that name.
I don't either.
I'll try it, though. Vasilije Micic. I think that's pretty close.
Yeah, and they still have Josh Giddey.
Jalen
Williams. He was a Rookie of the Year runner-up. Got some good young guys, but the picks on this team.
Yeah, what was the stat? They have
37
first and second round picks over the next 7 years, which is just absurd.
They can get a big market player.
Yeah, I mean, they could trade for literally any player in the NBA that they want to right now. Yeah. This is even with eventually if they need to trade a guy, not saying they will, but if they need to trade a guy like Josh Giddey, if he needs more money because salary cap is going to come into play at some point for this team, that they're going to have to move on from some of their players. But guys like that, guys like Chet, who's going to be in his first year this year, what is he going to do? He looks pretty good too, though.
He did. Preseason looked really good.
I was big skepticism guy on Chet Holmgren, but I think he could have a really good rookie season. Which rookie with the little asterisk there because he was hurt last year. But nonetheless, I think this OKC team could sneak in the play-in, could potentially sneak in the playoffs. But
at most an 8 seed.
At most an 8 seed, but this is a good bridge year for them.
Yes.
This is a play-in year for them.
Yes,
absolutely. Need to get there.
Yep. And they really do need to look to get to that play-in if they want to make anywhere with their future as well.
I agree. The next team here, 13, ESPN ranks.
Last year.
The Sacramento Kings. Light the beam, baby. Light that beam.
They almost lit the beam. They almost did.
They went to, what was it, Game 7?
Yep.
Against the Warriors there. Couldn't pull that one out. That was pretty sad. I think we were all rooting for the Kings, unless you're a Warriors fan like our friend Mike Clowen. Shout out to Mike. I think you were probably rooting for the Kings in that game. They are projected around 47 wins, which I honestly think is a little bit high.
It is.
I don't think they're going to be the 3 seed like they were last year, but I still think they could be a 7-8 seed. I think they will be in play-in team. Unfortunately, just how the West is right now, if everybody is healthy, and I'll keep saying if everybody is healthy, this team will be a play-in team. They should be. They were healthy last year. That's probably the only reason why they were the 3 seed, but that's not a knock on them. Not a knock on them at all.
Sabonis had a great year for them.
Yeah, and De'Aaron Fox, too. I mean, they're both incredible.
And a guy who's really coming around and turning his NBA career from bad to finding a role now. Excuse me. You know, I am really, really liking Malik
Monk?
Malik Monk.
Yeah.
He's really turning around. The Kentucky duo is doing great. They still have Harrison Barnes, who's a great role player, great veteran leadership. Great championship leadership. So if they have if they have an inspiration to go to the finals, that's a good.
He's been there. Harrison Barnes has been there. He's been around the block a little bit, but I think this is a year where the Kings could really. I don't know. They could really go either way, but I think they're more likely trending towards being that team that's going to taper off a little bit. Maybe like the Hawks from a few years ago.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, but maybe. Coming up at number 12 right here, we got the LA Clippers.
Your LA Clippers.
My LA Clippers. And It's going to be an interesting year for the Clippers. If I had to guess right now, if we're healthy, I don't think you can dispute that we're probably a Western Conference final candidate.
Yeah, I agree, especially with Russ. If he plays like he did in that first round against the Suns.
I am very excited for Russ this year. I'm glad you mentioned him because I think, honestly, people talking about Kawhi staying healthy, PG staying healthy, obviously they're the two best players on the team, but I think the key for the team is Russ. He's going to be that driving team motivationally, emotionally,
defensively,
and defensively too, especially in that backcourt because we're going to need that. He's going to be lining up alongside probably Terrence Mann, and we have a pretty small lineup besides Zubac, so we're going to be running out probably Westbrook, George, Kawhi, Terrence Mann, and Zubac.
I want PG and I want Kawhi. I want them to stay healthy. Because if
they
do,
me too.
This team can make a run.
Obviously, yeah, and we still have guys like Marcus Morris. We have Bones Highland off the bench.
Marcus Morris, Boston Celtics
legend. Bringing in Kenyon Martin this year, that's big for us. We've been lacking like the depth like we have this year.
And you never know. I mean, maybe if everything in Philly doesn't work out, could still land James Harden, which that would be an insane big three.
I mean personally, I don't want James Harden. I don't think we need him. I think the only reason why the Clippers would want him is if we didn't like how Kawhi and PG were performing, but we do, and it's only because they've been hurt is why we haven't gotten the results that we expected when we signed both of them. But right now, ESPN's projecting them around 45 wins.
I think it could be a 47, 48 win team.
I think we're a 47 or 48 win team, like you said. I think we're hovering around that. I think we're hovering around probably that 4, 5, 6 seed again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which I hate, but we're not a great regular season team. One thing that I will mention is we're lacking a lot of depth at center. If Zubac goes down,
Plumlee steps up.
Yeah, we're gonna be in tough trouble if Zubac goes down. He's a big key for us too. Marcus Morris could probably be playing some small ball center a lot this year. We could see even a guy like, I know this is gonna sound crazy from an outside perspective, but a guy like Terrence Mann playing small ball center too. He's pretty good down low, honestly. It's actually crazy at his size, but that's enough about the Clippers right there. We're gonna move on now. I'm excited for this year though. I'll mention
really excited for this Clippers team. I really hope they make a run because that's a team I love to watch. No matter what month, what year.
They're fun if they're healthy.
I love the Clippers.
But they're miserable if they're not.
Yeah. My former Western Conference team before I switched to the Houston Rockets.
Just breaks my heart.
Moving on to what ESPN has as the 11th, the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't really agree with this.
They are not better than the Clippers.
No,
I'll say it right now.
Absolutely not.
Especially with Ja being out for the first 25 games of the season.
A little suspension.
I mean, what is ESPN thinking right here? I mean, they had the Wizards at 30, the Clippers at 12, behind the Grizzlies and some other teams that they've coming up. I'm not saying the Clippers are a top 5 team in the league, but I'm saying I think we're a top 10 team in the league. Grizzlies right now are projected at 44 wins, so they have them projected worse than the Clippers, but have them ranked higher. That makes sense, right, ESPN? Jaren Jackson Jr., they have ranked as their best player on their team, so another questionable thing by ESPN right there. Even though he did just win Defensive Player of the Year, so that's kind of fair. But, Gavin, where do you think the ceiling is for this Grizzlies team this year, with Ja coming back fully healthy?
With Ja coming back, not bath. He's not taking a bath.
No.
He's coming back. Anyways, when he's coming back, I see the ceiling for this team as a 48-win team. I feel like that's the ceiling, and I feel like the low for this team is a 38-win team. I'm going to give them a 10-win gap for the high and low. Obviously, they took not my favorite, but one of my favorites of all time away from me, Marcus Smart. Oh, my goodness. Almost shed a tear that night. I don't cry at all. But, wow, when I saw that, I was not right for the next week.
I mean, you got to trust me. I fully understand teams being taken away or players being taken away from your team, especially a guy like Marcus Smart, who was the heart and soul of that Celtics team.
Absolutely.
It's hard to see a guy that is the heart and soul of your team go away. But I'm sure you're glad that he's in the Western Conference at least.
Yeah, I would not want to see him again.
Yeah, because even if he was in the East, you'd probably be on one of those contending teams like the Sixers or Bucks, unfortunately. So it's probably better that he's out West in a city that kind of fits him. Memphis is a grit and grind city, obviously. And I think Marcus Smart fits that play style pretty well.
They have 2 defensive player of the years on their team right now. So this could be a really good defensive team that we're looking at.
Should be.
But I'm just nervous when it comes to the points that they could put on the board.
Yeah, and I think a guy that's going to be key for that is Desmond Bane. He averaged 21.5 last year, surprisingly. He came out of nowhere. Played really well for them last year. He's going to be big in those first 25 games because if he's not clicking on the offensive side of the ball in those first before Ja comes back, I mean, they're going to have to rely on their defense heavily.
Yeah,
heavily.
Speaking about their defense, I mean, Marcus Smart and another player I love, Triple J, Michigan State legend. I mean, 2 of these players, I grew up watching them, and it's it should be a good defensive year, but I'm still nervous about. I mean, Marcus Smart could be really good for an offense, but he could also only have assists in the stat column. So a very big question mark next to this 11th ranked Memphis team.
11th in the league. I don't know, man. Gavin, who do we got at number 10?
So the Miami Heat are ranked at number 10 with another finals run from Jimmy Butler, just short. After a sweep in the finals. Or did they
5 games. 5 games in the finals,
A gentleman's sweep. But, I mean, they lost some key players on this team. They like Max Strus.
Yeah, that was big.
They lost Gabe Vincent.
Going to the Lakers.
2 huge key role players that absolutely had a playoff run
for
them.
They're getting back Tyler Hero.
Which is true.
He's going to be healthy for them. Let's see if Caleb Martin can do what he did last year.
Not Jokic, but
Jovic.
Jimmy Butler, obviously. Josh Richardson, Celtics legend.
You know who I'm excited for? Jaime Jaquez. They just drafted him this year from UCLA. I think he's going to step in and be one of those guys that you're going to see.
Kevin Love guy.
You're going to see on that graphic be like, oh, that late first-round pick from the Heat. He's turning it up. He's going to be a great player for that team.
Yeah, and obviously Caleb Martin, the man who ruined the Celtics' dreams last year, who should have won Eastern Conference Player of the series, but didn't. A lot of raw talent on this Miami team, but a lot of great veteran talent, especially still having Kyle Lowry. That's still a great starting 5 they have, especially with Bam.
Obviously Jimmy too. We didn't even mention Jimmy, but obviously he's emo now. But
and you really wonder where this team's going to land. Are they going to be the 1 seed like they were a couple years ago? Are they going to be the 8 seed again? I mean, we just need to see
consistent.
We need to see a consistent year from the Heat if we're going to rank them top 10. I think we will see it though. I think the Heat will be a really good ball team this year.
I think they will too. I think they'll finish around that 4 seed, 5 seed.
Yes.
I think they'll be in that matchup. But like you said, even if they are healthy, they somehow still finish around the 8 seed or they finish around the 1 seed. It's really
crazy.
It's been no in between since Jimmy Butler's gotten there. So.
I still love Jimmy Buckets.
Yeah, interesting year for the Heat coming up, but
funniest guy on the team too.
It's gonna be a good year in Miami, I think, for them.
What are we gonna see? Are we gonna see Dreads Jimmy Butler or emo Jimmy Butler? I mean, we don't know.
Or are we gonna see normal hair Jimmy Butler, which I think we will see more of him this year.
We will.
Moving on to number 9, my Eastern Conference team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Even though I don't really root for them, but I guess if I had to pick one, it'd probably be them. Obviously running it back with Donovan Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, Jared Allen.
It's a great team.
All those guys.
Max Strus.
Yeah, they brought in Max Strus.
Brought Yang as well.
Yeah, I mean that they addressed their needs. They needed some wing depth. They got it. Those are 2 good bench guys, but if they really want to make a run this Eastern Conference, I mean, bringing in Max Strus and Georges Niang is not gonna really do a lot for that. So I think they're just banking on Garland just being better. Improving a lot in his young stages of his career. Mobley, obviously, potentially being in play for a Defensive Player of the Year candidate this year. That'd be big for them.
And Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. Yeah, you never know. That'd be pretty cool if they could kind of establish that down the middle, kind of like what the Timberwolves are trying to do.
Yeah. And obviously they still have Donovan Mitchell. I mean, that man's special. He's great.
He is. Yeah, with Mitchell looking to have a really good year this year, apparently last year was their first 50-win season without LeBron since 92-93. So when they had who? Mark Price?
Maybe Larry Nance.
Yeah,
Senior?
Larry Nance Sr. maybe was there. So good for the Cavs. They're turning around as a franchise, but they're probably going to be slotted in around that 4 or 5 seed again this year.
Yeah, it's a good fit for them.
Yep.
Moving on to the 8th team, which can be questionable because we don't really know about James Harden yet. James Harden is on the team still. He still requested a trade, and it says he won't appear coming anytime soon on this report that I'm reading right now. They obviously still have Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, PJ Tucker, corner 3 legend. Yeah, I mean, it was a good run from the 76ers last year, but finding themselves in a round 2 curse.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough when you got to run into those teams every year in the second round. And
yeah, I mean, seeing Game 7 Jason Tatum, greatest Game 7 ever in NBA history. Just want to point that out.
Okay.
It is. Stat-wise, it is.
Stat-wise. Yeah, they lost Georges Niang, like we just mentioned. And, you know, obviously the whole Harden situation going on, it's kind of just awkward in Philly right now. Kind of has been for the last few years. It's kind of just, do people want to be there? Do they not? Is it Joel? Is he the problem? I know you're not. I know you hate Joel.
He's my least favorite player.
Let me just go on a little bit of tangent here about Joel.
No, yeah.
So, like, Joel, in my opinion, obviously a great player. We don't see really what goes on behind the scenes. I don't really think he's the problem. I think it's more of the players around him not wanting to accept that a center that doesn't handle the ball is like the best player on the team kind of thing. So a guy that's handled that really well is Tyrese Maxey. So he's going to look to have step up a little bit in Harden's absence while he isn't there. If Harden does get back, this team can be really scary in the East, though. I will mention that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back to Joel, something that I remembered was he said in a report that was talking about Ben Simmons, he's like, well, I wanted to keep Jimmy. He wanted Jimmy Butler on that team.
He did.
But
yeah,
the front office wanted Ben Simmons instead. I mean, that front office and the owner are just crazy. I mean, they're not basketball-minded. They're not a good front office.
Well, looking back, it wasn't even the decision between those two. It was crazily, this is the decision that they had to make was they thought Tobias Harris was going to be their number 2 option of the future.
Yeah.
And they decided between Jimmy and Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
And now you're sitting here with Tobias Harris, who's still a really good NBA player, solid starter for them. But, I mean, not having Jimmy Butler when you could still have all 3 of those guys, and that could be the big 3 they could have had for 5+ years.
Maybe they still would have landed Maxey, too.
Who knows?
I mean, and by the way,
a lot of things.
Still coached by Celtics legend coach Doc Rivers. Great basketball mind. Great
Clippers
guy.
legend Doc Rivers, too.
Yeah, but he won a championship for the Celtics.
All right, yeah, but he was my coach, though, when I first started watching the Clippers, so it's sentimental.
Yeah, so, I mean, Sixers, just kind of like the Grizzlies, big question mark next to it. But moving on to the team that I am astonished.
Yeah, ESPN.
7th.
If we haven't questioned already, they have the New York Knicks ranked at 7th here. And you know what? I kind of understand it, but at the same time, I don't. They should not be the 7th ranked. They're more closely to the 7th ranked team in the East than in the NBA.
I don't know how the Knicks are below the Heat.
And the Sixers.
I mean, mind-boggling.
I don't know how they're above the Grizzlies or the Clippers either. I don't think they should be worse than those 2 teams. I think they should be slotted in around 11 or 12. Maybe if you want to put them above the Grizzlies, and then maybe if you want to make an argument for the Clippers, but they're definitely not better than the Heat and the Sixers right now.
No, absolutely not. Knicks, obviously, they brought in Dante DiVincenzo. So the big 3 from Villanova will be not a big 3, but 3 guys in New York who have great chemistry with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. That's a cool thing that they brought in guys that were all teammates. Obviously, still have Julius Randle, have my least favorite player on the team, R.J. Barrett. I mean, the next team, it's good on paper, but as you can see, especially with the playoff runs, hasn't been good in the playoffs.
It's kind of they're kind of all over the place. Like you said, they have a really good core. With guys like Mitchell Robinson included in that, Emmanuel Quickly coming off the bench. He's really good. One of the best bench players in the league right there. Let me get that out.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, right. They're projected around 46 wins this year. Their line right now for their wins is at 45.5. So
fair
I don't know. I think it's a very fair line. I think they're going to finish I don't know, actually.
I think
that's
they're
a really
under.
tough line.
I literally think they're
45? I think they're 45.
45, 44.
That's a really good line right there.
Great line.
Yeah, great job by Caesars right there. Their title odds are plus 5,000, which is very low. And if you're a Knicks fan, I know that's going to get to your head. Shout out to Jack Corcoran. Yeah, I don't know. This Knicks team is going to be very interesting. They have a question mark next to their name, but not for the same reasons that the Grizzlies and the Sixers do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more of a question mark of, are they actually good?
Yeah. And we'll see that, obviously, before All-Star break, how well they can perform. Moving on to a team that just got your favorite player in the whole world. The number 6 ranked Golden State Warriors.
I can't even. I get sick every time I have to see Chris Paul in a Golden State Warriors jersey. When it came out that he was when it was between the Lakers and the Warriors for his next team, I fell to my knees. I'm not even kidding you. I fell to my knees and I said, it better actually be the Warriors, because I could not go on seeing Chris Paul in a Lakers uniform. I just couldn't do it. That's enough about Chris Paul right there.
But yeah, obviously they moved on from Jordan Poole, brought in Chris Paul. Pretty much the same team as last year, still having Curry, still having Clay, still having Andrew Wiggins. They obviously still have a great team.
But are they the 6th best team in the NBA?
I don't think so.
Not at all.
I do not think so.
They got worse from last year, I think, in my opinion. I mean, switching out Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, I think that's definitely a downgrade at this point in Chris Paul's career.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think – I knew a lot of Warriors fans and the whole NBA gave Jordan Poole a lot of heat. But that's the thing where you got to let him go one more season.
Yeah, I mean –
or at least to the All-Star break of this season.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more for him too, especially if they let him play out a little bit. But I know that dispute with him and Draymond was kind of past that point
I didn't
where
even mention Draymond.
Yeah, they couldn't even.
Not a fan of him either. But
that relationship was a little bit past the point of return. But with that being said, why couldn't they work it out? We don't know. But it's a really tough situation there because Draymond's not going to be on that team in how many years? 3 years? 4 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and Poole could be the next star for the Wizards. So. Could be a little bit of a question mark there for the Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to put a question mark next to this team as well because how healthy can these older players, can Curry stay healthy?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that obviously is just saying, like, we're going in for a championship again right now because we have to.
Yes.
They're doing it right, though. I'm going to give them that. They know they're sacrificing their future because once Curry, Draymond, Clay, I guess Chris Paul now, when all these guys retire in the next 4 or 5 years, their future is not looking too bright right now. And it was when they had Jordan Poole, but now it's really not. So what is this team going to do in the future? How can they build from that? And will they be a contending team this year? I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about contending teams, the team that they lost to in the playoffs last year, the L.A. Lakers.
Hate them. L.A. Lakers. I hate them.
I mean, I do too. Being a Celtics fan, hate the Lakers, but
great team, though. They are a great team, yeah.
AR-15, D'Lo, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. I mean, Gabe Vincent now. The list goes on and on with this team.
I mean, everybody that they brought in has worked.
Yes.
So shout out to I don't know if that's their scouting department or just their GM in general, but everybody that they brought in has worked. I mean, Rui has been incredible for that team ever since they brought him in. Obviously, D'Lo bringing him back, that was not easy for them to do, but
I love
that. Yeah, it was cool to see him back in the Lakers uniform, but he's been balling out for them. Obviously, Austin Reeves getting that bag this offseason, good for him.
And shoes.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool for Austin Reeves.
Good for Austin Reeves. A big couple of years for him. I mean, from where he was even 2 years ago at this point, nobody really knew who he was, and now he's now he's rich for life, so good for him. Obviously, they still have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, running it back with those two guys. Can they stay healthy?
That's
especially Anthony Davis, because that's a guy who I don't like the Lakers, but I don't hate Anthony Davis.
Just want to say
I want to see him. Yeah, I want to see him healthy. I want to see what he can do with LeBron because it's kind of a similar situation with Kawhi and PG. We just haven't seen them on the court at the same time,
except for when they won the finals.
Yes,
and that's kind of scary to think about if they both stay healthy. That
their ceiling is a championship. Yeah, it really is, but their floor is potentially missing the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean Anthony Davis, Green Bay Packers fan, by the way. You know that one?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's true. You can look it up and everything. Yeah, we'll see what the Green Bay Packers fan and LeBron can do together this year.
LeBron is a fan of every team in the league. He's been doing his weekly
He's at
picks.
the Niners right now. He's on the Niners. He moved on from the Cowboys. He said he was not
This
a
guy
Cowboys
jumps
fan.
from every team. It's crazy. He was a Browns fan when he was in Cleveland. He kind of went away from basketball a little bit when he went to Miami. Away from football when he went to Miami, and then he was a Cowboys fan when he went back to Cleveland. So I guess that makes sense. But yeah, LeBron doing his little NFL picks right there too.
Yeah, I mean, now we're moving on to the juggernauts of the NBA.
Yeah, we're top 4 right now. We got is it 2 West, 2 East? Yeah, we got 2 West and 2 East right now. So,
and they're gonna be sandwiched right here. So we're starting with the West. Phoenix Suns, ceiling of this team, championship. Kevin Durant gets his third without Steph Curry. His first. This would be his first if they were to win without Steph Curry, which would be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be big. It'd be big for him, and it's a big year for especially Bradley Beal and Devin Booker too. This team, they're going in for a championship too this year, and they're in arguably a worse situation than some of these other teams.
Yeah,
because
they lost a lot of depth here.
They don't have a lot of their assets either. I mean, I don't think they have a lot of their picks.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, they lost Ayton, they lost Mikal Bridges. I mean, they brought in Nurkic to replace Ayton, I think.
It's not a bad move, but I think Nurkic does a little bit more for this offense than what Ayton did, or sorry, for this team in general than what Ayton did, just because the fact that Ayton's more of a ball dominant guy. Nurkic doesn't need the ball in his hands, but he does that dirty work. He gets down low, gets those rebounds, plays decent defense, but at the same time, I think you could have gotten out there and gotten another guy that maybe fits the offense a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, and they got rid of Chris Paul too.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, and they obviously Devin Booker and
Monty Williams gone now.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, new coach. I mean, who's their new coach? Isn't it Budenholzer?
A lot of question marks for this team going into this season.
Is it Budenholzer?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of question marks going into this season for this team, and it's really interesting because I mean the ESPN has them ranked at 4, which I think is a very fair ranking. But
because especially Bradley Beal coming in,
I would not be surprised if we see this Suns team as like a 6 or 7 seed, which is crazy to say.
I wouldn't be either because of injuries. If one of those big 3 goes down, who knows what can happen? Especially Kevin Durant.
Beal's already banged up a little bit, right?
He is, and like if
and Durant's 35.
Yep, and Beal. I mean, he's not old. He's getting older though, and they have to face the facts that they're in nothing but win now mode. I mean, they have no future whatsoever. No future.
None at all. They really sacrificed these little few years in the middle here from where they were in the rebuild. They got out of it, and now they're going to probably go back into a rebuild in a few years, barring who knows what. But for right now, future's looking a little dim.
Yeah.
For the Suns.
I do like that KD's wearing number 35 again, though.
Oh, yeah, it's
really
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So moving on to the number 3 ranked team, my team, the Boston Celtics.
Wow. Third, Gavin.
Top 3 is kind of cool, but I'm not satisfied.
I think 3 is very fair for them, though.
I think it's fair because
I don't think they're
because everybody loves the Bucks. I mean, I will put the Nuggets ahead of us because they're coming off a championship.
Yeah, gotta have them.
They're still
more.
the best team in the NBA. I can't argue that. When it comes to like teams like the Bucks, I mean, especially with last year's playoff run, and both these teams, the Celtics and the Bucks, we'll get into the Bucks a little bit later. Both got so much better in the offseason. I want to talk about specifically the Celtics because we're talking about my C's right now. Brad Stevens, have a day, dude. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, he traded Marcus Smart, unfortunately. Robert Williams, unfortunately. I love those 2 guys. But traded Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, and brought in Porzingis, brought in Drew Holiday. Marcus Smart is just, I mean, I love him to death. Love him. And well, he will always be in my heart. But in reality, he's just a worse version of Drew Holiday. So
he really is. Yeah, you're right.
Because on the offensive side of the ball, Drew Holiday's a bucket. Let's be honest.
No, he is, yeah.
He called Isaiah Thomas to ask for number 4.
Who can't do that? Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
But, yeah, I mean, he called Isaiah Thomas to ask if he were number 4, which is awesome respect. Love that. Brought in Porzingis. We have had a trouble with the 5 for so many years now. Nothing wrong with Al Horford. Al is awesome. Dog. But he's old. And bringing in an all-star in Porzingis, amazing. You fix those 2 holes.
All-Star?
He was a former All-Star.
But you think he's still an All-Star?
I think he's going to be an All-Star this season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bold take from Gavin Williams there saying Kristaps. I'm not saying you're wrong at all.
I'm going to make the boldest prediction, but it's probably not going to be the most true prediction. We're going to have 4 All-Stars this year.
Who?
JB, JT, which I didn't even mention them
JH.
yet. JH,
Kristaps.
and KP. So, come on. I mean, these are 4 potential All-Stars in one lineup. And Drew Holiday covers the defense. And Jaylen Brown got a lot of work over the offseason. Jason Tatum, I love that man. My favorite probably person on the whole earth. I love that man. And Porzingis, I mean, it's awesome. Derek White, underrated. Great ball player. This is a Celtics team that is in win-now mode and have a little bit of a future, too. I'm not saying in a 10-year future. I'm saying within 4 years, expect a run, potentially a dynasty from the Celtics coming right now.
That's crazy to say before you even win your first one.
No, I know.
But I understand where you're coming from. I mean, going to the finals just 2 years ago, that's a good step for them. We got to remember, this is when you look back on it in a while, if they can make a little bit of a run here, you'll say that first one against the Warriors was their little stepping stone right there. Obviously, making the Eastern Conference Finals like almost every year is like, how can you not be somewhat satisfied with that?
But getting more pieces to get
getting over
that
that hump. Yeah, exactly. So
we had to go through the bumps and bruises, getting rid of some of our favorite guys.
Exactly.
Hopefully we make it over the hump.
Yeah, and I think something that's good about the Celtics that you pointed out was that they're different from some of these Western Conference teams like the Suns and the Warriors and even the Lakers is that they actually have a future. They have younger guys who are better and will produce for longer. Even bringing in a guy like Porzingis, he's not really, really young, but he's young enough to where he can just take over for Al Horford when he's all said and done there, and he rides off on the sunset in his pretty good career. But, I mean, with that being said, the Celtics being ranked at 3 here, I think it's a pretty good ranking. We got the Bucks at 2. We'll just go right into that. I think kind of like how the jump from the Hawks to the Mavs.
I think this is 2A, 2B.
I think the jump from Suns to the Celtics is a similar jump right there. It's a big tier jump right there. It's very visible to see.
But now we're in the 1 and 2A, 2B.
I think it's 2A, 2B. I do think that the Bucks are slightly better.
I mean, they brought in Dame. I mean, that's awesome for them.
I think that's really it. But I think the Celtics have better depth. Yes. I will say that. But the star power, I think, is a little bit brighter.
Giannis and Dame. That's scary, man. That is a great. That could be one of the greatest duos.
Everybody's always been saying, "Oh, let's get Curry and Giannis on the same team." But what about Dame?
Yeah.
I mean, why does that not work? I mean, I am so excited to see Dame and Giannis play together. I know that it's going to be. I mean, they still got guys like Chris Middleton. They still Brook Lopez. They still Bobby Portis.
Yep.
All these guys.
Pat Connaughton.
Yep. He's going to be their starting shooting guard probably. Yep. They have really good complementary pieces. They're a really good team.
Yes.
Really good, well put together team. So shout out to their GM for that. They're one of the only teams in the NBA where I can actually look at their team and say, this guy fits this team, this play style. When you look at a team like maybe the Suns, they have 3 ball-dominant guys.
They do.
I mean, that realistically does not work. It can work, for sure, if you're just trying to put up points and that's how you're going to beat them. But the Bucks will beat you in so many different ways, and that's why they're so good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I know you've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, the Bucks, they will be good until Giannis goes. That's a fact.
He just signed an extension, too.
Just signed an extension with a player option at the end of it. That might raise a question mark.
What is that, 27-28?
Yep.
That year? Yep.
That's a question mark. I mean, I think he'll obviously opt in. But we're not even in 4 years yet. We're right now. And Damian Lillard and Giannis, I think, will complement each other a lot. I think Damian Lillard, a little hot take here, he's going to go away from scoring the ball every single time. He doesn't have to score the ball as much anymore. He's still going to have to average 20 points for them to be a good team.
I think it's actually going to make it more dangerous too, is because he's going to be the same.
Spread the floor.
He's going to be the same shooter for his whole career as he always was. But I think we're going to see that passing get a little bit more involved this year.
A couple lobs to Giannis.
Yeah, and
a couple lobs to Brook.
Yeah.
I mean, this
can be lobs to Bobby.
This can be a great team. And moving on from a coach who got them a ring, which I was really surprised that they moved on from him.
Yeah.
They
it had to be hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, when you lose to the 8 seed when you're the 1 seed, obviously, I mean, there's going to be frustration. But I think with a guy who won you your first ring in how many years and you're letting go of him already, that was Giannis' whole career was Budenholzer.
Yeah, I know. And, bringing in a guy like Adrian Griffin, who's a younger coach in the league, doesn't have much experience leading a team necessarily. But not saying he's not going to be a good coach. I think he definitely has the right guys on his team to will him in that direction to be the next great NBA coach. Kind of rooting for him a little bit because I know you're probably not, but
no, I'm rooting for him. When a young coach enters, just like Joe Mazzulla,
yeah,
he had a great first year as a head coach. Let's just point that out. A lot of criticism going to Joe Mazzulla. Just remember, it's his first year. Here we go, round 2. Now for this guy, for the new coach, Adrian Griffin. I mean, new coach, year 1. I'm not saying that they're going to lose in the Eastern Conference Finals because this is a finals-ready team just like the Celtics were last year too. But this Bucks team is definitely more finals-ready than they were last year.
I agree, and I think, it's crazy to say that you lost Drew Holiday and you got better.
Yeah.
They addressed it very well. They lost the first round in 5 games. They knew they had to do something, and they did it. I respect them a lot for doing that because
it's tough.
A lot of teams would just say, oh, that was a fluke. We'll just run it back. We'll just run it back with the same team we have. But they said, no, we're not satisfied. We want to win another championship. They want to make sure they can keep a generational player like Giannis and then bring in, guess what, another generational player like Damian Lillard.
The only thing that they're losing here is defense. That's the only thing.
It is true. Yeah, they're losing a lot of defense.
Scoring, though, but losing some defense.
But if they can balance that well, if they can have other guys step up in the defensive roles, then maybe Dame will step up in a defensive role. Who knows? He's never really had to.
Yeah.
So who knows? Now moving on to the number 1 ranked team.
Deservedly.
If you haven't figured it out yet, it is the NBA champion, Denver Nuggets. First time ever winning a championship. Good for them. Shout
out to Joe Sekula.
Yeah. Shout out to Joe. Shout out to Jokic. Wow. Finals MVP, 2-time MVP. I keep going on about this guy. He averages triple-double every year.
We're not even mentioning Jamal Murray yet.
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon.
His team is still...
Michael Malone, their coach.
This team's amazing. I love Michael Malone. It was a big hiccup, though, with having Bruce Brown leave the team.
Yeah.
And that's a great depth player that they had, and he played amazing for this Nuggets team. That's going to hurt Nuggets fans.
I think so, too, but I think, having guys like Christian Brown and Reggie Jackson will really help them a lot. Brown playing really, really well in that finals and that playoff run. I think that gets underrated a lot, too. I think he's going to be a guy to look out for this year. A little sneaky guy.
Brown.
I think he's going to start some games for them, too.
I think he will.
If I had to guess. I think towards the middle of the season, they'll just be throwing him in there, and you'll be saying, who's this new guy in the Nuggets that's scoring points for them?
I can also see Reggie Jackson's, I feel like he fits this team really well.
I think he does, too, and, but I'm a fan of Reggie because he played for the Clippers. Not a big fan of Reggie because he also didn't play well for the Clippers. But nonetheless, I think he does fit this team pretty well. The only thing he needs to do more consistently is shoot the ball better.
Yeah.
Which I think obviously he knows his role in this team. He's a good role player in this league, and he knows he's going to have to shoot the ball well to keep his spot on the team, realistically.
Yeah, absolutely. This Nuggets team is going to be dangerous. I 100% believe they're coming out of the West this year.
I think so too, and I think they're going to win it all. I really do.
Go back to back?
I don't see another team right now that can beat them. And I know it's every year when you look at it and you'd be like, yeah, the champion's going to win again. But Jokic is making a case for. We were looking at maybe Giannis being that next potential GOAT, but I don't want to say it too early, but Jokic could be in the running for that top 5 all time.
Yeah,
eventually
absolutely.
when his career is all said and done.
This guy can't run 2 laps around a track, but he can ball out.
Yeah, and does he even like playing basketball?
It doesn't look
like it.
Do we even
know? It doesn't. It doesn't sound like it. He won the finals, and the first thing he said was, "I'm ready to go home."
Yep.
He does love his country, though. I will give him that. He loves Serbia.
He does love Serbia.
And he loves horse racing in Serbia. That's his hobby over there. He trains horses. He doesn't ride them, though. He's too big for that. But nonetheless, Jokic, he's obviously an unstoppable force. Best player in the NBA, in my opinion. A lot of people's opinions.
Yeah, I see them going back to the finals easily. Hopefully, they meet my Boston Celtics. That would be in a very exciting, very great finals.
That'd be a great finals. I think them against any of the Bucks or Celtics would be
that's
incredible.
what I'm hoping for,
yeah.
if anything.
Yeah. Even them against the Sixers. I mean, that Jokic-Embiid matchup in the finals would be crazy, too. So
I mean, the two best centers going at it. I mean, you never know what can happen this year.
It's going to be a great season.
Yeah. Let's have a season, guys.
Let's have a season, guys. I mean, this is going to be a good one.
We're so excited for this year, and we'll come out with our predictions on our Instagram soon.
Yep.
It's at Out of Bounds Podcast with a dot in between every single word.
Yes, there is, Gavin. So thank you guys for listening. Keep up the support, please. We love it. And have a great day.
Have a day.